Hey everybody, welcome. This is Matthew Ferry, and I am so excited that you are going to hang out with us here on Master Your Mindset. We have got Scott Solari from Viral Marketing, and he's the CMO, and he's going to be moderating for us and helping us to hang out together. I also have Jacki Silva online. Jacki is a longtime client of mine who is, she's not a new agent, but fairly new in the business and has struggled to get her mindset right. But when she finally got her mindset right, it was a phenomenal jump in her business and her quality of life and quality of experience in real estate. Here's a couple of the promises that we said. I want to make sure you know that we're going to fulfill on all the promises that we said that we would do. I said that first of all, I said, find out what was holding Jacki back, and that chances are you're suffering from the same mindset malfunctions. So we're going to talk about those so that you can see, am I weird and crazy, or am I just a normal person? I think you're going to find out you're just a normal person. Second thing is you're going to learn what she did about these mindset malfunctions that massively increased her level of income, and produced some unexpected results for her. Then we're going to hear in her own words how she used the various mindset tools to shift into a more profit state of mind. And then we put down 2 specific mindset techniques to increase your commission earning power today. But as I'm looking at my questions, I'm hoping to get 3, 4, 5 out of her. But we're going to promise 2. We're going to see if we can get 3, 4, 5 out of her, and then we're going to open it up to questions. Now, Scott, will you just take a moment and tell them about chatting in questions and how to do that?
Absolutely, Matthew. So, guys, on the right side, there should be a Q&A application that's open. There's a little chat box. Just type in your question, pose it, and we'll get to it. And you'll know when we're answering the question. I will activate that question so it'll tell you that it's being answered, and we'll go through it.
All right. Well, fantastic. Thank you for that, Scott. So I want to bring in Jacki Silva from Bluebell, Pennsylvania. Jacki, why don't you just take a moment and introduce who you are, where you're from, even though I already did that. Do it again. Tell us what company you're with, how long you've been in the business, those, sort of the basic facts.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. So I'm Jacki Silva. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my office is in Bluebell, as you just mentioned. So that basically takes over the greater Philadelphia area. So we cover Center City, Philadelphia, and the surrounding suburbs. I've been in business now. This is my 6th year in the business, and I work for Keller Williams. And at Keller Williams, I work on a team. And I work for the Jeff Silva team, Jeff is my brother, and I was brought onto the team as one of the buyer's agents, but now I'm a full, buyer listing agent, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
Well, it's so interesting, Jacki. When you first came to me, I was working with your brother, and I was helping him to really dial in his mindset, and you came in this very advantaged position, supposedly advantaged, right? You're on this team that's doing hundreds of deals a year. They've got marketing, advertising, prospecting, blah, blah, tons of signs everywhere. It should be a no-brainer. It should just be like you come in, you start doing deals, you're rocking, woo, right? This should be just amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it really didn't turn out that way. And, you came to me and said, I have this huge opportunity, but I don't really like what I'm doing. I don't feel good doing what I'm doing. Tell me about the place that you were before you started doing mindset training, training the mind versus just training in your skills in your business.
Great, absolutely. So I've been in coaching since I started in the business, business coaching, and was doing that, and everything was going well. And as you mentioned, I was in a position with all these opportunities. So I was working on a team, and we're churning and burning deals, and I'm a workaholic, so I was really getting into it and it started to make a little bit of money. But what was happening was I was burning out, and I was just working around the clock and working 7 days a week, coming home 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I was tired and I was burnt out, and I wasn't making enough money for the amount of work I was putting into it. So even though I was doing reasonably well, just under $100,000 and a few years ago, it was good, but not for the amount of time I was putting into it. So I was becoming very frustrated. I was dealing with a lot of ups and downs. I had high highs and I had really low lows.
Right.
And when those low lows happen, I can't even tell you how many times I almost quit the business. Brainstorming what else I could possibly do to make, $100,000 a year and how I could leave the business. And, then I kind of got caught in like a situation where in my mind where I don't want to really leave the business. I don't want to leave my family business. There's a lot of agents doing a lot more than me. So there's got to be a way that I can do that, but keep my sanity.
So you were going insane, code word for having a not so great time in the business.
No.
And tell me about the effect of that. How was that affecting you as a person, going through these radical ups and downs and feeling like you have no life, burning out, wishing for something else, dreaming about save me from this business? Tell me about some of the impacts and effects that this was having on you as a person.
Well, I can say primarily I wasn't able to have a healthy primary relationship, and that was huge because at the time I was, almost 30 years old, and it just, my hours were killing my relationships, and also my mindset was killing my relationships. I would go off the handle on this person who I supposedly love, and that's not any way to be in a relationship, as you know. So that was a big part of it. It really affected my personal life. I didn't have as much time to spend with my friends, which I'm a very social person, so it really is important to me. I also love to travel, so I wasn't getting to do that a lot. So I was just working too much. It was burning me out, and my relationships were suffering. My personal life was suffering. And I just wasn't happy. I just didn't like what I was doing.
Yeah, but let's just stick that hand up and show us this ring here. You can see that we have, there's been a added benefit, a bonus to mindset training that has occurred. So congratulations.
9 days. So.
Yep, she is 9 days away, right? 9 days away?
Yep, 9 days.
Tying the knot, and I could not be happier for you. It's been thrilling to be a part of your journey as you've gone through this process. So we see that there's a fairly negative effect that occurs when you're struggling in the business. And, most people would not have said you were struggling. I think you were making about $100,000 a year prior to getting into mindset training. That's, for most people, you're like, hallelujah, $100,000 a year. But the $100,000 a year was costing you a lot. Yeah?
A lot.
A big cost for that $100,000, and in a lot of ways, it wasn't worth it.
No.
It wasn't worth it. So before you started doing mindset training, you were investigating, right? There's got to be a solution here. And I suspect that you tried a bunch of typical things to try and get yourself back to a place where you were feeling good again. What were some of the things that you tried that didn't really work?
Well, daily affirmations was a big one. I would listen to mindset audios and listen to some Louise Hayes and things of that nature, and just positive books, different business books that were about giving, the Go-Giver and that kind of thing, and they were nice. And I would listen to them in the car and say, oh wow, this is good, and then I'd walk into an appointment and everything changes, goes back to the way it was. So reality set in.
Yep. So brutal. I remember my own journey, Jackie, and I remember being about 36, 37 years old. That's about 10 years ago now for me. And I remember thinking, I have done everything under the sun. I have done every mindset, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever training you could possibly do. And why is it that I still go off the rails? I still get angry. I still go into these dark holes. I still go into these slumps. What was that? And it really wasn't until this sort of, on my knees, please God moment, bam, where it all started to come together, that I started to use the techniques that I taught to you, and they worked for me, they worked for you, they've worked for a lot of people. So I wrote down another thing.
Mhm.
You were in this place, you were trying everything under the sun. What made you decide, maybe I need to just do full-blown, specific mindset training? What was that? What was the thing that made you go, what's up with this Matthew Ferry character?
Well, there was a breakdown that caused this breakthrough. And it was a personal breakdown that I had in a relationship that was tied to something that happened with my business. So it was kind of like a work thing that got brought into my personal life, and it really blew my world up really quickly. And my brother had been working with you for a little while, and some of my close friends that were also in real estate had been working with you, and I saw the results that they had, and I figured, well, they can do it, I can do it. So that's when I started working with you, and then everything just changed for the better.
That's so phenomenal. Tell us just real quickly about some of the results that you've achieved. You have found the love of your life. You're getting married in 9 days. That is probably hands down the most phenomenal result that you've achieved.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of personal. There's been a lot of business. Just give us a little of the rundown, and then let's talk about some of the ways you got there. Like what were the specifics? What were some of the results?
Well, I doubled my income easily, and I'm not working as much. I don't work weekends anymore, which is awesome.
Wow.
That was huge for me, and that was actually just something that was an intention that I set this year working with you, and it's happened. So for about 4 months now, I haven't worked a weekend.
Well, and we got to give props to my dad, right? So my dad taught us that we need to treat this like a real business. But then how the hell do you get your mind around it as a realtor? It's so counterculture to not work weekends, So I want to talk to you about that later. Tell me about some of the other positives. I'm going to write that down, okay? But tell me about some of the other positives.
We bought a beach house this summer, or a condo at the beach, so that was exciting. We got a dog, which was like, everyone, how are you going to have a dog when you're a real estate agent? You work around the clock. Well, with the mindset training, you learn how to put things in your life that are important first, and everything else will fall into place, and it has. I have people now working under me, so I have people that assist me in my business, which allows me to leverage myself, which has been amazing. My relationships with my family, my friends have just gotten better and stronger, and my relationships with my clients have been a lot better as well. I'm noticing I'm receiving a lot more referrals than I did before. So with that shift in my mind, it's really been paying off. A lot of repeat business now. Even people that I just started working with right after I started working with you, now all of a sudden are doing more transactions. It's really interesting to see that. So it's been great. My personal life is amazing. I have a nice vacation home. I'm getting married. I'm going on an amazing honeymoon for 2 weeks coming up. So I mean, I love my business. I love it. I love what I do.
Let's be honest. This is a 180-degree.
Oh yeah.
That has occurred.
Yes. In December, it'll be 2 years since we met, and I can tell you I was absolutely miserable. Not met, but started working together. I was miserable when I started working with you, and now I'm on cloud nine. I couldn't be happier.
That is so cool. And the cloud nine, the thing that so many people wonder about is they say, well, we all go through those cycles. We all have these ups and downs, and we're catching Jacki on an upward cycle. And there's certainly there's a lot of merit to that thinking. And the person who is considering, like what are their options in taking their business to the next level, you do have to think about is someone in a particular cycle when I'm talking to them? But tell us about how you caused the cycle.
Okay. Real quick, I'm just going to touch on what you just said, because even though I'm in this mindset training doesn't mean that everything's perfect all the time. I had a 6-week span this year that 12 deals fell apart. And one weekend, 4 fell apart. It was in like 48 hours. So it's not that everything's like, rainbows and butterflies all the time, but the techniques that I've learned working with you has really helped me shift how I react to those downs or to those lows, and the the recontextualizing, which we'll talk about I'm sure later. All of that has really helped me pull myself out of those lows and get back into a good place a lot faster than I used to. I mean, what happened earlier this year would have taken me out of the business if it was a few years back, hands down.
So I guess upward trajectory cycle myth complete. So the thing that I want to talk about today is that how do you be in a business that is so volatile, working with this wide variety of people who represent from insane, wacky freaks all the way to wonderful, loving, amazing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we have this incredible wide variety of people. Then you take into account the real estate agent population, and think about here you were at this incredible advantage, and you felt like crap. You were miserable all the time. You were pissed off. You couldn't even keep your boyfriends around because you were angry and frustrated and blah, So those are the realtors you're dealing with on a regular basis. Then you take a title, mortgage, escrow, your broker, all of this stuff. It's a really intense business.
Yep, it is.
And you have been studying skills to help you to maintain your equilibrium. I want to talk about some of the skills. I wrote down some of the things that I know in my communications with you, you've been using. So the first one that I want to talk about is the idea of detachment.
Mm-hmm.
Detachment is a skill that you have had to learn. It's taken you a long time to practice the skill of detachment. Tell us about detachment. How does it work? How do you use it? What's the impact?
Well, detachment is one of the good ones, because once you really learn and master it, everything that you want to have happen will happen. So, detachment.
Wait a second. Why is that? Because people think, I get detached, and then everything I want will start to happen. That it's counterintuitive to people. And if we're being honest, Jackie, everything that I teach you is counterintuitive. It's basically, if you listen to a Wayne Dyer CD, you go, oh, that's really cool. Then you listen to mine, you go, he kind of says the opposite of that, but it's kind of the same, but it's not really. It's the counter, usually. Tell us about how being detached helps all the stuff that you want to happen.
Well, if you're detached from the outcome, whatever happens, if you know that whatever happens, if you truly believe that whatever happens is going to happen exactly the way it is supposed to, you can be completely detached from what's going to happen. So, for example, if going for a big listing, let's say it's a $1 million listing, and you want the listing so bad, but you walk in there, I need this listing, I'm so attached to it, you're not getting it. If you walk in there and you don't care if you care, but you go in there with that attitude that if you get it, great. If you don't, that's great too. You're going to get that listing. So it's
why is that? When you don't need the listing, you get it. What is it about you? What does it make available to you? What happens with you when you're detached? What is that?
You're not being needy. You're not putting off that, commission breath. factor that can scare people away. And it's really cool. I mean, I've used detachment a lot when I've wanted to fire clients. And I'm just like, you know what? If you don't want to do what I'm going to say, or, you know, I'm going to say it better than that, but thanks to Mike. But if you don't want to follow my advice, then we shouldn't work together. Oh, no, 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 I'll follow your advice. I'll follow your advice. What is it? Okay, you want me to reduce the price? So when you take that approach, it's just your persona just puts off something that makes the other person or the client want what you have. So I don't know exactly why it works. Maybe you can answer that better than me, but it does work.
I think.
Can I ask you a question real quick, Matthew?
Go for it.
So it sounds like, just from what I'm hearing, that it's because you're not tied to the result, that it's internal thing, that you're accepting of who you are and what you're doing rather than being tied to the result, and people can feel that and see that, right, Matthew?
Let me ask Jackie a question to see if I can dive that one even deeper, Scott. So Jackie, when you are unattached, you're detached from the result, where does your focus go? Is your focus then on yourself or on them?
On them. And you're still committed to that moment. You're committed to this experience you're having with that client or prospect, but you're not worried about what's going to happen at the end.
And so what is their experience of you being detached? How does the customer experience it?
They feel, I'm sure, very warm and fuzzy because the focus is on them, and it makes them feel important. It makes them want to work with you.
So tell us how. How do you get detached? What's your process? Because I've got little procedures that I've taught you over the years and whatnot, but everybody kind of customizes it for their own life. What do you do to get detached?
One of the things that I've learned from you, or from working with you, that has been just integral in being able to implement all of these tools is just really the shift in my mindset. You know, so it's been, instead of, oh, I need this listing, or how am I going to pay my whatever if I don't get this listing, it's just the knowing and the belief that it's going to work out. You know, and if I don't get this listing, it's probably for the best, because, you know, maybe this client is going to be a headache, and they're going to be, you know, too difficult, or they're going to prevent me from being able to find new business. So I just have this belief now through our experience working together that it's going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to.
So really what you're talking about is a recontextualization. I'm getting a mic. Where's it coming from?
It's coming from Jackie's computer.
So Jackie, turn your volume down a little bit. All right, let's see now.
All right, maybe it's yours, Matthew.
All right, well let me turn mine down just a bit.
It's weird that happens halfway through the call.
All right, there we go. How about now? Still getting a little bit, aren't we?
Yeah, we're getting feedback. Speakers.
Okay, well, if I turn my speakers off completely, now I can't tell if I have it. So do I still have it? Shake your head for me, Scott, because I can't hear it.
Yeah, it's still echoing. So maybe Jackie, try muting your computer for a second.
Sorry, everybody. We're a little technical difficulty using Google. All right, there we go. Okay, yeah, now it's gone, huh?
Yeah, it is gone.
Okay, great. So, Jackie, we're getting it through your speakers. Could you turn your speakers up just a little bit, Jackie, so that you can hear us? Just turn them up just a little bit. No, then they, okay, down just a little bit. All right, how about now? Oh, boy.
Yeah, still echoing. So, Jack, you want to turn it down as low as you can so you can still hear us.
Okay.
All right, good. How about now? Okay, we got just a little bit of an echo. We're just going to roll with it, everybody. And I don't know if Jackie will be getting back. We want Jackie talking mostly anyways. So
Right.
Jackie, the thing that I want to focus on here with detachment, so you were talking about a skill set called recontextualization, and you applied it to detachment, which is a really good, that's a good way into detachment.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about, so recontextualization is the process of creating a new context for a situation to change your view of it so that you change your response, because your behavior in this moment is a function of how you see the world or the future that you are present to. Let's talk about all at once. How did you how did you detach yourself from that to remain in a calm, cool, collected state and not go out of your mind and become a crazy person to make everything worse?
Well, I practiced this this skill of recontextualization that I learned from working with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Can you
sure
guys
can.
hear me? Okay. And it's basically I just looked at each of those scenarios and put a whole new perspective on each one of them. Okay, well, this client is kind of a pain in the butt to work with in the first place. If things would have stayed together, would I really wanted to have worked with them till the end? They were really becoming a strain on my time, that kind of thing. So I did that with every single scenario.
Hold on. Jackie,
Yeah, Jackie, move your computer back away from you a little bit. Is that possible?
It is, but then I need to turn the volume up because I can't hear.
okay, so what's happening though, I think, is that your connection there at the office, are you on a wireless internet? So what I would recommend is that you actually, and I got to get confirmation here from Scott. Scott, is it okay for her to go out of
Yeah.
out and then come back?
Yeah, Jackie, if you just end it and then click the link again, you'll pop right back in, and we'll keep going, and that should hopefully fix it, okay?
Yeah, good. And then I'll just talk about recontextualization while you come back.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you in a moment. So recontextualization in general. So Scott, are we there still?
Yeah, we're good. We're going.
Okay, fantastic. So recontextualization, here she comes back, is really the process of creating a new context. Hey, Jackie.
Hey.
So what Jackie was doing is practicing changing the language that she used to describe each situation, because the language that you use determines your reaction, your response. So in the past, what Jackie has done is she has a deal falling apart and her mind defaults to the negative, which
Mm-hmm.
is its job. That's its job.
Mm-hmm.
So she's practiced over the last couple of years catching the mind default to the negative and going, wait a second here, you get over here, and then inventing a probable reality that helps her to feel more empowered in the moment. It doesn't change the situation. It changes her reaction. And when it changes her reaction, she then becomes more creative, more resourceful, more effective, more empowered. And instead of what she said earlier, quitting the business because 12 deals fell apart, she's on an interview with us saying, listen, it's not all rainbows and butterflies, but for some strange reason, I feel great, I'm happy, I'm getting married, I'm spending more time with my friends, I'm going on vacations, I bought a beach house, I have a dog, life is working, even though simultaneously life isn't working. So life isn't working, but the experience that Jackie has is that it feels good regardless of what's happening, which gives her the mental fortitude to continue on and be effective. And that's really all we want. We just want to be able to have the mental fortitude to be resourceful and creative and effective. Jackie, tell us about, I want to talk about dealing with breakdowns in general, because it sounds like you've had some really big breakdowns this particular year. Tell us about your procedure. First, what do you believe about breakdown? What's the new context you've created for it? And then what's your procedure for getting out?
Okay, so with a breakdown, the new context I put on it is that there's something good's going to happen. And I'm quoting you on that because I basically took that word for word from what you've always said to us. But what good is going to come out of the situation? Because there's always a positive that comes out of a breakdown. So I look at breakdowns now and I look for the opportunity that's going to come from them. And that's really my main focus when I have a breakdown. It is a little bit exciting because even though it may not feel good in that moment, I know that there's going to be a positive outcome from it. So I basically look for that. As far as my procedure,
Let's stop on that thought, okay?
Mhm.
You know there's going to be a positive outcome now
Mhm.
because what? Because what has happened that you now know there's going to be a positive outcome?
Because I've now mastered my mindset, so I understand that it's not always going to be a downward spiral. Instead of looking at everything as the glass half empty, I now look at it as half full.
So that's classic positive thinking movement.
Right.
But the distinction that you're pointing to here, which I want to make sure that our viewer understands, is that you are actually using your detachment
Mm-hmm.
and your recontextualization. And then I want to make sure that they get, because it's for you, it's now just ingrained,
Mm-hmm.
but you actually had to practice catching the mind, defaulting to the negative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Absolutely.
one possible outcome. And then saying, but there's also this possible outcome could come from that, and this one, and that one, and this one, and this one, and debunking the insanity of the mind,
Mm-hmm.
so that you're then able to focus on, well, where is that opportunity? And this is classic Napoleon Hill. You know, Napoleon Hill said that there's a seed of equivalent benefit in every adversity. You've actually experienced it so many times now that you just made a statement that I don't know if our viewers even caught. And you made a statement that when I go into breakdown, it's so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
That's a totally different way of dealing with breakdown.
It is. It is exciting because I know something good's going to happen. And once you take on that perspective, you can look back at all the scenarios in your life where you felt like you were having a breakdown and you see the good thing that came out of it. I mean, the best thing is when I started working with you, I was going through a huge breakdown. Actually, it was, 3 years ago now. I was having a huge breakdown, and I thought I couldn't see past, the next 5 minutes. Like, I couldn't foresee any good that was going to come out of anything. And now I feel like everything's transformed so much that if this has happened from that breakdown, like, I can't wait for more to happen.
Bring on the breakdowns.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
And isn't that really one of the mantras that we have taken on as a group of people committed to mastering our mindset is, bring on the breakdowns. Come on, I need some breakdowns because breakdowns lead to
Breakthroughs.
breakthroughs, baby. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. There are days that you don't feel like doing it. Let's just be
Yeah.
honest. You don't feel like doing it. You get up and basically, here's the drunk monkey, and here goes your hand, snooze button. What do you do on days like that? What's the procedure that you follow to give yourself the space, right? I'm just going to remind you, give yourself the space, don't make yourself wrong, right? All those things that you have, those little tools that you use. What's
Mm-hmm.
your procedure for getting back into the groove that day?
Well, first and foremost, I'll make sure that I do get myself out of bed so I can go do some kind of workout, whether it's the gym or yoga, and that always gets me in the right place. All right, it's part of my meds. Then from there, I'll focus.
Meds without explaining to them what your meds are.
Oh, meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep.
Yep, part of my meds. Meditation,
Yep.
exercise, diet, and sleep. Got to get so part of what you're saying is if the body is functioning
Mm-hmm.
at an optimal level, the possibility of me being more effective, productive, happy, content goes up. So we have to
Absolutely.
take our meds every day.
Absolutely.
So you get the body moving. Then what do you do to get
Get the
yourself
body moving.
in?
Then I'll do I do these things in the morning where I'll send out a text message to people that I'm in a mastermind group with, and I'll send out what I'm grateful for. Because when I have things that you focus on things you're grateful for, it just creates abundance. So I'll do that, and then I'll set the intentions that I have for the day. So instead of focusing on, what I don't feel like doing, I'll focus on what I want to have happen, and that really gets me back in the groove.
So for you, it is you make sure you get up.
Mm-hmm.
You might need some structure for that some days.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I have an audio program called The Blueprint, and in The Blueprint we talk about the structures that you have to create. So you get yourself up, you then send out your gratitude text message, and focus on your intentions. Are your intentions in your text message too?
Yes. Yes. And then also what I want to experience that day. So what I'm hoping to have happen. When I
So
do
I
those,
guess we should probably tell them our acronym for that, right?
yes.
It's the GEIs that we do. So
Yes.
gratitude, experience, and intention
Intentions.
is
Yep.
a procedure that people studying mindset follow to master their mindset.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, well then I have another question for you. Let's talk about manifesting. Manifesting in general. People are confused about manifesting. They think that it's some magical power. But manifesting is really nothing more than being creative.
Mm-hmm.
So and we look at other creative people and we think, oh, I'm not like that. So we look at Mick Jagger and we say, I'm not like that. He can create a song out of thin air. That's not me, and that's not true. We all have the creative energy coming through us, and as a person who is mastering mindset, we focus on the ability to have our intentions in our mind and then have those intentions begin to be created. And most people think, oh, am I going to like sit in a cave and do something to manifest? No, it's about getting shit done and doing stuff
Yeah.
and making things happen and being in a procedure. Tell us about manifesting your ideas, your thoughts about it, what you do to manifest the results that you want, some of the things you've manifested.
Mm-hmm. Well, this year I manifested quite a few things, which has been really cool. Manifesting to me is basically just setting a really big goal and watching it all unfold. So, the word manifestation can get kind of scary to some people because they think there's no way I could ever do that. But really, it's just a really big goal you're setting and letting it unfold in a really cool way.
Wait a
So,
second. Stop on that little idea.
yeah.
Letting it unfold in a really cool way. Most people set a really big goal and they go like this, like, oh God, how am I going to do it? I can't. I set this goal. I need to get to work every day. Or they get into this insano mode. But as a student of mindset, you manifest these big goals. We call manifesting the creative process. We call it manifesting. And you say you want to do it in this, let it unfold in this really cool way. Say more about that, because I don't think you just do it with big, big, big goals. I think you manifest little things all the time too.
I do, absolutely. And that's also where detachment comes in too, because you can't be so attached to how the whole manifestation process looks. Just let everything happen. Let the universe take control. And so being
Universe or
detached.
God or whatever somebody wants to call it, right?
Exactly.
We have no attachment to what you want to call it.
Right. Exactly. So, for example, I just manifested. I was trying to manifest a free honeymoon. Okay.
Nice.
And because we're going to Hawaii, we're going for 2 weeks, and we're going between Christmas and New Year's. It's very expensive. So I was really excited. I'm going to manifest this. I wrote it down. I told everybody about it, and I just kept doing what I was doing because that's one of the things.
Why did you want to manifest a free trip to Hawaii? Help our viewer understand our wacky ways of thinking.
Because it could happen. Well, a trip to Hawaii is very expensive, okay, especially at this time of year. And for 2 weeks, it's a lot. So I thought it would just be really fun to manifest that, right?
Fun, right? That's what it was, Jackie. It's just fun.
It's fun, yeah.
Wouldn't it be interesting to have someone give me a free trip?
Yeah, exactly. And I can afford it, obviously, because I do mindset training and training with Mike. But I didn't. I thought it'd be fun, so I ended up having to book the honeymoon. I paid for it out of pocket. Well, a week or two later, my dad calls and says, "Hey, do you want to go to Puerto Vallarta?" And he's like, "Listen, it's the room is all covered. We just have to pay a really small resort fee." And I looked up flights, and I realized I had miles to cover the whole thing. So I basically am taking 2 of us to Puerto Vallarta for $1,000.
Oh my gosh! Now the skeptic goes, "Wait a second. You said you wanted it for free. Right? All of that. But what do we do when something manifests? Do we poo-poo it?
No, we get excited about it, because once you get in that groove, more stuff's going to keep manifesting.
That's right. Whether it's free or it's a little more than you're spending some more, but $1,000 is certainly a lot less than your trip to Hawaii by a lot. Are you going to just do both instead, or what?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That's
it's
even
fun. Why not? It's fun, and I do that kind of stuff with work all the time. I've manifested great co-ops. You mentioned some of the clients or the other agents we have to work with. They can make this business not so fun. So I've started manifesting good co-ops to work with that are fun. They might even want to come work with us. So that's been something that I've put in place, and it's been really cool.
Put it in place. How? How did you put it in place? What'd you do?
Well, I actually add it to my my daily text message. Okay, things that I want to manifest. So I spread the word of what I'm trying to manifest. I tell people on my team. I tell people in my mastermind group. Then I just keep on doing what I'm doing. So you don't stop everything and just wait for this manifestation to show up. You keep doing what you're doing. You keep everything going in place, and then you start giving the gift to people. That really helps the manifestation process move along very quickly as well.
No doubt. Well, it just tickles me to talk to you about all this stuff because of how far you've come. I want to open it up to questions here in just a few moments, but I want to, Scott, do we have anybody who is in the queue to ask any questions? Can you tell them how to do that if they want to?
Yeah, guys, so again, on the right, the Q&A, there should be an application. Just click it and ask the question, and we'll get them answered. And please jump in. We want to ask any questions you have about all these different mindset things that we're going over here, obviously. So.
And when you say there's a little application for it, what do you mean by that?
So on the left, there should be an application that says Q&A.
Well, because the applications only show up if they move their cursor over there, right?
Correct. So you move your mouse over the my face, which is what you're seeing right now. There should be an application on the left that says Q&A. If you click that, there should be a chat box that will allow you just to type in a question, and we could see it, and we'll get it answered for you.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Jackie, can you tell us? I want to sort of bring this home now. Let me just read what we promised. Okay, so we promised to find out what was holding Jackie back, and what I'm going to say is that I heard that what was holding you back was an inability to create a frame of mind that was effective for the situation. Is that accurate? How would you say it?
Absolutely. It was just getting caught up in my old behavioral patterns, and it was causing me to continue to do things, to have a life I didn't want.
And we said that you're going to learn what she did about it that massively increased her income level and produced other unexpected results. And I want to make sure that our viewer realizes you're still taking action every day. You're making calls, following up on leads, presenting, being a closer, being right, all the things that are necessary to be an effective salesperson. You're doing all of those things on a daily basis, yeah?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the only difference, though, is you're doing it now inside of an experience that makes you like this, like, versus, right? You're stoked rather than, constantly dealing with, dealing with the stuff that comes up.
Right.
I also promised that you were going to hear in her own words how she used mindset training and what she did to shift into a more profitable state. I feel like we've done that. And 2 specific techniques to master your mindset and increase your commission earning power. I think we've done far more than that. But I'd like to just finish it off here with your most important mindset idea or technique. Maybe you've already mentioned it, doesn't really matter, but what's the one where you just go, Matthew, that after learning this from you or wherever you learned it, boy, oh boy, that made a big difference?
I would say recontextualization is probably the biggest thing that's had the most sincere impact on my business and my life in general. Just being able to shift the context and see things from a whole nother perspective has just been life-changing. It really has. And it wasn't something that was easy to do. But it's, and I still get caught up sometimes in my initial way to react, just how I always dealt with things, but it doesn't take very long for me to recontextualize it and change things.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the habit of automatically creating a negative context is a biological function. So training yourself out of a biological function, I mean, if we think about it, it took you many, many, many years to figure out how to not pee in your bed at night.
Yep.
Biological function, right? Biological function. But then we think as adults, we're like, well, I should just be able to go in there and figure it out and do it and whatever. But you actually have to retrain the biology from being back here in fight or flight mode to up here in logic, reason, intuition, rational thinking mode, creativity. And
Absolutely.
that takes a while. So how long have you been working on the mindset again? 2 years, 3 years
I
now?
guess it's been like 2.5 years.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So recontextualization, just to wrap it up for our viewer, is very simple. Number one, you have to catch the drunk monkey in your head. That's what I call all the talking in your head. You have to catch the mind doing its autopilot forecasting or inventing of the negative. So it automatically does this. In fact, there's a Harvard study that was done by some positive psychology scientists, so scientists of positive psychology. Anyways, they did a study with their iPhone. And what they did was they created an app, and they had thousands and thousands and thousands of people participate in this study. And what they did is they had people on a regular basis report what they were doing and what was happening with the mind. So the activity and then what was going on with the mind. And they collected hundreds of thousands of updates from people at different times during different activities. And they were just trying to understand the mind and how it correlated to activities. But the thing that shocked them, that blew them away, they didn't know they were going to find this, was that the mind, when idle, defaults to the negative.
Mm-hmm.
Across the board, the mind's autopilot stance is to be fatalistic, negative, hurtful, doubtful, uncertain, anxiety-filled, blah, 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 frustrated, all of those things. So step one in recontextualization is you have to actually learn to spot that. And that is not an easy thing to do, to spot that at all. It feels real, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, that person did that thing to me and I'm mad about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? But with practice, you start to go, well, wait a second. Here's my reaction back here. The amygdala is going into fight or flight, and you catch it. Catching it is step one. Step two, then, is getting some distance from it. Being able to take a breath, being able to stop yourself, being able to calm down the anxiety that goes through the body, because the anxiety itself has a momentum. So if you can't stop, experience the anxiety, and then let it pass through, you're never going to be able to create a new context. And then the final step is to invent things, literally make things up that make you feel good. And people say all the time, well, aren't you just being an idiot positive person and you're putting your head in the sand? And the answer is absolutely not. We're not being an idiot ape reacting and responding with no intelligence. What we're doing is we're recognizing the mind doesn't know what's going to happen. It's making things up. If the mind can make things up, why don't I make things up instead?
Exactly.
And that procedure is a practice, a ritual that you have to do over and over and over. It probably takes about a good year to really get it down. But when you get it down, look what happens to your life.
So much better. My nickname on the team used to be Hurricane.
What is it now? Do you have one?
I don't think I have one, which is great. I'd rather not have one than be nicknamed Hurricane, because my reaction was to go off the handle, to spaz out, to yell, to scream. And I meet people now who I'm become friends with, and I tell them about my old behavioral patterns, and they're shocked. They cannot believe that I used to be like that, because they said, you seem so relaxed, like so at ease all the time. And I am, but it's night and day from the way I used to operate. 100%.
Well, it warms my heart. So let's go to any questions. Do we have any questions in the chat box?
We don't. I mean, we don't have any questions that have popped up. So I don't know. Maybe I enabled the application. So
good, fantastic. Well, that means
covered it all.
Yeah, exactly. That means that Jackie and I have done a great job of being whole and complete.
You have, and I was even trying to think of questions to ask, but I feel like you covered, the concepts that you brought up. You've covered so well and in such depth with examples and how they work, that I think our viewers are really getting a lot out of this. So maybe that's why there's not questions.
We have no attachment to it whatsoever, do we, Jackie?
None. Great.
So here's what I want to do. I'd like to wrap it up. And Jackie, I want to say thank you so much for spending this time with us, for sharing so authentically, for being willing to kind of open the kimono and show people like the real deal. Like, it takes a lot of courage to be this honest. I suspect that most interview series that you're going to watch, it doesn't take much courage. It just takes a lot of ego to, talk about how amazing and bitchin' you are. Whereas, in this interview series, there's no amazing or bitchin' people at all. It's just normal, schmucky people like me and Jackie and Scott just being honest about, hey, man, It ain't easy to be effective in the middle of insanity, to be powerful in the middle of craziness. But there is a skill set that enables you to do that. And we got to reveal some of those skills today, which I am so happy about. You know, I talk about them until I'm blue in the face, but to hear someone, you know, young, vibrant, going for it, successful, doing it and making it work. I mean, Jacki, phenomenal. Okay, and so I want to just wrap up by saying this to everybody. Mindset is the one change that changes everything. But mindset is also the one thing that will keep everything the same. You can take all new actions and have the same mindset, and those new actions won't produce any results. Or you can take all new actions with the same mindset. You'll get all these results. Here comes the mindset and knocks your results down. And that's what creates this up and down and up and down and up and down. Get your mindset right, and it's easy to create consistency. Get your mindset wrong, and it's easy to create misery. So I hope that today was a very helpful session for you, and I'm looking forward to more interactions with you. Tune in a month. We're going to do, Scott, what do we do? Every third Wednesday or something like that? I can't remember.
Yeah, every third Wednesday monthly, 11 a.m. Pacific.
Every third Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific. Master Your Mindset with Matthew Ferry. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.